Good morning, everybody. So I wanted to talk to you today about why the narcissist lies so much and how they become the narcissist. Because in the family unit, you have one narcissistic parent, typically, and then you have the enabler, which is the enabler would be the empath that's unawoke. And so they're usually the one that's trying to keep the peace, while you have the strong-arm dictator, the narcissist, who kind of rules the roost. And so as the children grow up, you have the situation where the narcissist becomes the narcissist is because they're looking for validation, and they don't get validation from, say, their parent unless they're perfect, okay? And so there's very little validation that comes because it's very hard for you to be walking in perfection all the time, right? It can happen from time to time, but typically, unless you're perfect, you're not going to get that validation and the admiration. And so that's what they seek so much. It's almost like they're seeking for it. This particular child may be seeking for it more than other types of children, depending on your innateness, is my opinion of it. But so they're seeking this validation. So they find that, what I would call, or what we'd call, wearing the mask, right? Which is they would do whatever the parent would tell them to do. But what happens also is when you get into the seeking for the admiration, adoration, and the love and validation from these parents, or from that parent, because the enabler is not doing anything except keeping the peace by letting the narcissist do what they want and rationalizing how it's okay. And that's why you never want to be an enabler, because you're just bad at the end of the day. I mean, you're a better individual, but you're still living a lie with the narcissist, because you're keeping the lie alive, you see? And that's what you don't want to do. But anyway, so what happens is the narcissist kid decides to work insidiously as the young child to try to get this validation, but they know that they're not going to get it unless they're perfect. So what they have to do is they have to put on the face of perfection and the ability to look like they're perfect, even though they are not, right? And so what they end up going down this road is this road of lies, to where it's just like in our relationship with them. It's not what they say, but it's what we know that they are doing that makes them a lie, right? What actions speak louder than words, okay? And that is a perfect term to put on, when you're judging the narcissist, especially if your intuition's telling you, it's yelling at you and screaming at you that they're doing all these bad things, right? Because you're seeing their actions. The energy is not meeting their words. And even if you haven't caught them, your intuition's caught them. It's caught them so bad, it's yelling at you, to walk away, but you haven't honed your intuition yet, so you're kind of still giving them the benefit of the doubt, okay? And there's nothing to beat yourself up about it. You're awoke now, so you're on the other side of me right now, right? You're hearing this, and you're awoke now, but that was the price to pay for the generational curse that we had to break. We didn't know any better because we were growing up and to push down our intuition, do as we were told, right? Or else we get our ass kicked, typically. And so what the narcissist does, they work insidiously to make this facade, build a facade that will make their parent give them adoration, admiration, and or anybody around them. Like, for instance, if they're not going to get it from their father or mother, or their father, whoever, because they can't lie enough or make it look good enough for them to believe it, then they'll start out with the other kids around them, lying and, basically building this facade So this is the thing. With the narcissist, if you believe it, then they're going to believe it. And then it's going to be a fact. I mean, that's how the narcissist thinks. And that's how they get adoration, admiration, and all of that, right? And what are they doing? You're building their ego up when you believe they're what they put forth as a lie. So basically what happens is they have to look perfect, right? And so that's why when they're at a regular job, for instance, or in public, right? They're not going to do evil things. Well, why? Well, because they have to look perfect, even today, even as an adult. But this started in childhood, and they were insidiously, right? So that's they slowly started moving down a road to where they turned their life became a sham by saying, whatever I need to do today, well, I need to add as many lies as I need to make it seem as though everything I did today is perfect. And it's only going to be that way if people believe it. If they don't believe it, what do we call today? A narcissist injury. If you call them out on their lie, or you don't believe the lie and you let them know, then that causes major narcissist injury. Okay? So what they do is they create this facade, this fake life everywhere. From their childhood, how they grew up. They may have grew up a victim. They may grow up as a rich victim like mine was. You know? And then what they do is they put it forth as indirectly the lie, and then you believe it. Well, why do you believe it? Well, because generally speaking, people you've hung out with, that you chose to hang out with, maybe not people you grew up with in your family, but you grew up with them and you were enmeshed with them. So it's a whole different kind of energy. You know, I've talked about this than when you go out and get your love partner. Okay, it's weird because you might say, my family's kind of screwy and they lie all the time and behind closed doors. You know that. And you've addressed it with them, whether they don't want to believe it or whatever, or they make you the enemy, right? And nevertheless, you actually leave the family unit, then you get your first love partner, which is typically a borderline. And I always say that the family curse goes from your mother to your wife or your girlfriend, and they're now the narcissist that's getting supply off you, right? That's usually why they hate each other. But with that, it's like I was saying, that you're enmeshed with your family, you're with them since birth, so you look at it like, oh, they're one way, and then everybody else is going to be different. In, like, for instance, the love partner situation, like, you're never going to run into that again. Like, your family's so crazy. But then you find out your love partner is like that too. And it's a different energy, and it takes a while for you to catch on that it's the same thing, really. It could take you like 4 or 5 years or something, you know. It'd take you a while because it's a different type of control. It's very similar but different, you know, when you're asleep to it. And then from there, you know, you think that when you leave, say you get divorced or something, you think then that's going to be the craziest woman you ever met, your ex-wife now. First it was your mother and your family, but now it's your ex-wife is the craziest you've ever seen. You know, because it was just you and them. There was no family. You know, because in the family, you know, at least you got siblings and all kind of, you know, aunts and uncles, I don't know, whatever. So it's a different dynamic, and maybe it still sucks. But then you get the love partner situation, and they are out to destroy you, man. But it starts with the borderline, very clingy as well. So then when you leave them, you think that's it. You're never going to meet another one like that. But then they keep coming to you until you get traumatized to wake up. But what happens is they're telling you these lies, and then you believe them because, generally speaking, you wouldn't think, you wouldn't lie about your childhood. You wouldn't lie about anything like that. These are like bold-faced lies. Like, why would somebody lie about stupid shit? Right? So you just don't, you kind of give them benefit of the doubt, because it's like your intuition's catching on, but you're kind of running it over, giving them benefit of the doubt. They're really shitty actors once you wake up to narcissism. I mean, because you just didn't have a huge major key that plays into it, and that's your intuition. And that's because of the enmeshment. But they'll lie about the stupidest things in the world, and that is because they're trying to get adoration, admiration, and it pumps up their ego, right? So if they grew up in a trash pile, for instance, right? I'm not making fun of people if you grew up in a trash pile, but if you grew up in a trash pile, for instance, and you're not going to tell people that, you don't want to tell people that because it would be give you an inferiority complex, and you probably got one already. So then if you tell them that you grew up in a palace in another country, but then you were still the victim, right? Because even though you grew up in a palace, you weren't treated well enough. Well, what does that do to your ego? I mean, if you can get people to believe that, because now you move to a different country, okay, then, and this is the kind of stuff, man, I would get from my ex. Like, anyway, so then you believe that, right? You believe this facade of a story, but because you believe it, because they put it forth, it's a lie to begin with. So everything narcissist does starts with a lie, and I'm not giving them a free ticket out of responsibility, because they're pieces of shit. And the other siblings didn't act like that. Some of, like in certain cases, they went through, sometimes there's not too much the trauma they always put with these people, man, I'll tell you. A lot of times it's not even trauma. It's not really that much trauma. It's just their emotions are deregulated, and their parents are emotionally checked out. But that happened with a lot of us. And I do believe God sends people into your life from outside, if you're not getting it from inside the family unit, that are going to show you how you should act and operate. And if you do shit wrong, people will be there to alert you. I don't care what time and you're living in. We give bad people too much credit. And if there's any way for the bad person with some sort of psychological term to them to have any way out where you can blame somebody, then all of a sudden they get the case of innocence. What about the true victim? The true victim doesn't typically get shit. And that's typically us. Because, we were, right? We're not victims anymore. We're warriors, because we put this shit down. And we ain't having it no more. But this is the deal. So if they build these lies and facades all the way from childhood, and they grow bigger and bigger. They become insatiable. And it gives them adoration, admiration, right? And then it also has them living in their ego, because they are shame-based, right? So they were shamed so much from correction as a child because they weren't perfect, right? Fine. But see, the other children would be like, well, F it then. they're not going to look at me as perfect. Well, that's fine. I know that they're maladaptive. I dealt with it in my own childhood. I knew they were maladaptive. I didn't need, God to send me an angelic host to tell me that. Because I could look out and about people that I lived around, that I grew up with, and their families didn't operate that way. It's very easy to know that these people were crazy. So I don't give them a whole lot of credit. And I try, because I'm an empath, man. But I'm kind of beyond that, at this point, because, when you get a book thrown at you, a psychological book that gives them all these freebies, and they'll even have to tell you that it's all theory-based. Narcissism is theory-based. Where it starts from is theory. Still today. Because people come from all different gamuts, man, and different childhoods, and they end up with narcissism. So it's somewhat bullshit. That's why a lot of it comes with your innateness and how strong you are. When people talk about narcissists become narcissists because they're spiritually weak. Okay? I kind of agree with that. Okay? And I'm not going to apologize for that. They are spiritually weak individuals. And because they're not getting everything that they want, then they have to devise evil to get it. And sometimes they were taught a little bit of this, and sometimes they weren't. It's a construct that they build out of their weak, soulless, non-empathetic lifestyle that they create themselves. I mean, these psychological books sometimes would like to say that trauma might be somebody growing up without air conditioning in the home. You know? Without a TV or a computer at their bedside. I mean, listen, man. I grew up pretty damn hard, man, with a lack of a lot of shit. And I didn't turn out a narcissist. I'm fighting these fools. I'm on the other side of it. Okay? I'm with y'all, man. And I ain't having it. So, this is the millennium of aftermath. It ain't gonna be nothing after that. So give me one more platinum plaque and you can have it back. But yeah, I mean, I'm not having that shit. The narcissists ain't getting really a way out with me. I don't really give them one. They're just weak spiritually. And that's why they fell to this insidious shit. And so what they do is they put forth these lies, and then if you believe them, that you have to believe it. If you don't believe it, they won't have power to survive, to live. This is where the illusion comes in. This is the mask. Do you understand? This is how it works. And this is where they're only loyal to the mask. They're only loyal to the lies that they have made up and created as their lifestyle, and their childhood's life and lifestyle, their future life and lifestyle, and whatever they did that was a lie today that they want you to believe. And it gets so bad that what comes with the adoration, admiration, and all of that is, what can I get monetarily out of these people? Because that in itself is adoration, admiration. That it shows importance. Them focused on you. On them, I mean. You focused on them. If they're getting your finances, they're getting your blood, sweat, and tears. They're getting your emotions. They're getting your fuel. To profit that mask. Okay? That mask is their God. Because that mask brings them everything. And without that mask, they cannot survive. And that mask is demonic. Satan comes to you as an angel of light, masquerading, it says in the Bible. The narcissist does the exact same thing, and they even call it that. They wear a mask, y'all, that's saying that they're wearing a demon, a devil, a fallen angel on their face, y'all. And in the thoughts of their mind and in their heart, to devise evil so they can get over on you in any which way, whether it be sexually, emotionally, physically, or monetarily, so that they can get on in life and enjoy it to the best they can without having a narcissist injury, because they can't handle life without lies. And this is kind of how this stuff works. In another oddball, weird way of me presenting it. And I hope it helps, but this is kind of where it works, and you have to believe it. So as soon as you don't believe it, what do? They have an injury and they walk away. And if you continue to not believe it because you awoke and you refuse it because you're a truth teller, truth seeker, and if you would have had this knowledge years ago, you would have never even begun down this road with them. But because you were tricked into it at a young age through the enmeshment and lied to your whole life, you just didn't know any better. But you still were full of truth. And that's why God woke you up. Because if you ain't a full-on truth teller, he'll let you be a sleep-ass empath for the rest of your life, because God tugs at the hearts of men daily. He knows, y'all. He knows. He knows the truth from the lie, and he knows who's his and who's riding that fence and being lukewarm. He don't wake up fake people. He'll let them sleep, y'all. He'll let them sleep. You awoke now. You can't go back. Okay? You already crossed the Jordan. You can't go back. So you best build your faith and keep it moving forward, because you can't go back. You were a scapegoat, a sleep scapegoat to begin with, and that's bad enough. But now you're awoke. You can't go back and be a Judas now. Or you can't enable the Judas now. That's what it is, because they're the Judas. But you can't team up with Judas and be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Not now. Not after you woke. You hated the shit when you were asleep. Truth tellers hate this. They hate the construct of the narcissist. I hate to say that I hate the narcissist, man, but I'll tell you what. I really, I forgive them and everything, but I definitely sure do hate the hell out of the way that they operate. And I'll put it to you like that. And, so that's kind of the deal, y'all. Soldier up, man. Stand tall. Peace, we out.